You're born with this great love of land and the desire to preserve it and do the best stewardship that you can.
Someone is not going to want to come here and visit if it's all just sprawl and urban areas and pollution.
Our role is to help conserve these important working lands. If we don't conserve them now, we'll lose them, and they're too important for the future of our state and our country.
For the last 30 years, like most ranchers in California that are trying to survive, I have seen some absolutely gorgeous, high-functioning farms and ranches in Northern California that have been split apart and sold and developed and are no longer working landscapes.
A group of progressive ranchers said, you know, there's an opportunity here for us to really lead conservation. Today we have over 320,000 acres that we partnered with landowners. We really facilitate between the ranchers who want to conserve their ranches and funders that are interested in protecting working lands in California.
And if anybody else had owned this property, that coastline would look like Malibu. We thought preserving the ranch the way we've all known it for all those 7 generations, when it got to 8, 9, and 10 generations, that they didn't look back and say someone gave away the ranch. And I think that would have been impossible without the assistance of the California Rangeland Trust.
Land use decisions going forward are going to have a long-term impact, not only on my generation, but for future generations. You're having aging population that is looking to get out of agriculture or pass it on to the next generation. A next generation that is more apt to be in urban environments and working in urban jobs.
I do not want to sell this land. I'd like to leave this as a heritage to the wildlife and to the landscape and to agriculture. Unfortunately, Jerry and I have no children, which was difficult in terms of thinking of passing this land on.
I have the utmost respect for California Rangeland Trust. We feel grateful that this ranch will never have lights, it will never have homes, it will never have a golf course, it will be a working, open landscape.
I read the easement from the Rangeland Trust and I said, yes, this is the organization that's by and for ranchers.
We've had pressures from big corporations who have wanted to buy the ranch to put golf courses and hotels. To be honest, it makes me just kind of take a deep breath and relax, knowing that our kids are not going to have to face that.
I feel like a lot of people go, oh, we're at the end of an era, ranching's kind of over. But then there's this other school of thought with all of the work that can be done with mitigation for climate change, for healthier soils.
If you use grazing to manage woodlands and shrublands, you reduce the probability of fire, and you're also helping to maintain that carbon in plants.
If you look back in history, the collapse of civilization only happens when you stop taking care of your soil. So ranchers and farmers are some of the biggest environmentalists.
If you don't have bare ground and you have good grasses and you've been taking care of them with your rotational grazing and composting, we can actually have more groundwater recharge from these storms that come through the way we're managing and taking care of these grasslands.
The ranch that I grew up on Santa Rosa Island, became a national park. And I think that people have a perception that the government owning land is protecting it. And really, what we have learned is that private working lands, that is the habitat for endangered species. That's where your water flows from. That's where so much of your view shed when you drive along the highway comes from. That's the energy that's being generated through solar and other sources on ranches.
Our ranch has now been in an easement with the California Rangeland Trust for 12 years. The day after they signed the easement, I went up to the ranch and Dad was just kind of wandering around saying, I finally did something bigger than myself.
I used to have a really big class of 150 freshmen. Every day they open the paper, there's another environmental problem. When we talk about rangelands, we can offer them solutions. We can offer them things that people can do that are possible. We can combine making a living with good stewardship and sequestering carbon and maintaining wildlife habitat. They love that. It gives them some hope.
Conserving working rangelands is not just for ranchers. It's not just for people in rural communities. It's for all of us. This is bigger than all of us. This is about healing our planet. And what we want to ask you is to come join us, to come be part of the Rangeland Trust and to support what's going on for our future generations.